I'm back with another Front Row Talk podcast, the podcast with expensive opinions. This is episode 157. Before I start, make sure you check the description down below where I have my link for my Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Check episode 156. Last episode, I talked about the Travis Scott and Jack Boys 2 album that just came out. Give my thoughts on that. As you can see for the title of this episode, I will be talking about NBA free agency and how it's been as of yet. I'm going to give my thoughts on that. Let's get straight into it. Before I get started, if the lighting seems a bit different from every other episode, it's because my main light started acting up. So, kind of made it work a bit. Hopefully, I don't seem too dark or like the shadow. I do see the difference, but if you also see the difference, just that's what it is. But that ain't going to stop me from, getting up here and recording. But yeah, NBA season is clearly not here. It's off season right now. I mean, no, there's no type of NBA action at the moment. There's guys being traded on the daily. There's guys resting, and there's guys trying to, come back from injuries. But people are getting traded on the daily. I felt like getting up here and talking about it because I feel like they, when I say they, I think it's like Shams and them. But I don't want to just pinpoint it all on Shams because that's not really, he just goes about by what he's told or whatever. And of course, deals are, talked about and amped up, and then it's possible for them to like de-escalate a bit. But what I'm referring to is that I feel like this off season was gonna be super duper crazy. Um, we've had key signings and key trades, but I don't think it was like crazy how they pictured it would be. Then again, it could just be us the fans expecting that every off season or free agency during the summertime is gonna be like really really crazy. Um, but I mean, yeah, I talked about KD going to Houston. This was over about a month ago. I think the NBA final. It was at like Game 7 of the NBA final, so we already knew that. But I want to talk on other free agents who were signed and people who were traded. I do think though that there's a lot of key role players that are going to teams, and that'll definitely make a difference once the season comes back around in October. It's a lot of guys who's gonna help teams out, and complete teams at that. So to start off, probably with the most recent known trade, I guess you could say, Chris Paul is back with the Clippers, uh, back to where he was, playing years ago. I think this is probably Chris Paul's last year. I think it would make sense for it to be his last year. They're calling the Clippers the Unction. Basically, a whole bunch of guys up in age playing together. Bradley Beal is now also a Clipper. He went from the Suns to the Clippers. So it's Bradley Beal, Chris Paul, Kawhi, James Harden. And I think like a couple more guys that are there. Um, of course, because of the age, you probably would be like, they're really not gonna do anything. But I've always said experience matters. Um, we'll see. I mean, I can't really say how they're gonna be as a squad. We're not even like there yet to really speak on that. But it will make sense for Chris Paul to retire this year, not sending him to retirement. But I think it'll make sense going back to the Clippers. Signing with them, trying to go all out. To get a ring and retire with a ring. And Bradley Beal, I mean, his situation in the Suns wasn't the best. I mean, I think he'll probably thrive better in the Clippers. I mean, I don't know. I might be wrong. Clint Capella went from the Hawks to the Rockets. So he's a Rocket now. Jordan Clarkson is now a Knick. He went from Utah to the Knicks. I think that the Knicks needed that microwave scorer, somebody who could give them like 15, 16 points off the bench. So that could probably help him out. John Collins is also a Clipper. So that's a pretty good pickup. I feel like he's somebody who could give him, a couple rebounds, defend, and score about, whatever he averages, which is what? I think like 19? Is this the average? Yeah, like 19, 18. But this is what he was averaging in, where's the stats real quick? in the Jazz. I still may be wrong, but Pat Connaughton went from the Bucks to the Hornets. Um, yeah, those were like key ones. Tyus Jones went from the Suns to Orlando. Orlando's another team that people gotta watch out for. Orlando Magic definitely has a chance to make it to that Eastern Conference, just because the Boston Celtics are not gonna be how good they were since since the year they won the chip. But they've been making noise since 2022 when they faced Golden State in the finals. That season, the year they won the chip. This season it was really good. Tatum doesn't get injured, they potentially beat the Knicks probably, even though they were, down. But they're gonna be a totally different team this upcoming season. Tatum is gonna miss most of the year or the whole year probably. And I think they got rid of certain key guys. So, not I think they definitely got rid of guys. So, the East is definitely open. Orlando Magic could definitely shake things up. Banchero, he can take a big leap and dominate the East. I'm thinking like other East teams that could probably give him. Halliburton is not gonna be there, so it's like, are the Pacers really gonna be that good, or they're gonna miss their key guys. So we got to see how they perform, without him. Cleveland could make another run, but it's like you got Cleveland. What other team you have? You have to add Orlando in there. I think Orlando has a special team. Ty Jerome is now a Memphis Grizzly. He was a Cavalier. Um, Gary Harris went from Orlando to the Bucks. Tim Hardaway Jr. went from the Pistons to the Nuggets. Now, I do think the Nuggets have a special squad. I cannot name all the guys from the top of my head, but I know they have a lot of shooters. I know that Jokic is going to be spotting a lot of guys up. If he averaged 10 assists now, he might average 20. I think that they have a lot of weapons and a lot of guys they could go to. They could definitely make a deep run in the West. Now, before I even talk and mention the West, I have to mention the Golden State Warriors. Listen, the Warriors are literally the only team in the NBA who haven't moved the needle. They haven't made noise. They haven't done anything. Of course, this is not because of them. It is because of them, but the Jonathan Kuminga whole situation, quote unquote, is what's having them, like stuck in a way. So we can't really receive anybody or trade anybody until we get rid of Kuminga or we accept them, and whatever the case is. I think that they should have moved off a lot of people earlier than they did. Not only Kuminga. We've seen stuff like this before. But yeah, they haven't done anything. So it's like I keep hearing Al Horford, or Brogdon, or bringing back Melton. But it's like nothing is really being done. I know it's not something you do, in a snap of a finger overnight. But we've been hearing this since a minute now, and it doesn't seem like anything's progressing. But you never know. The Warriors aren't looking really good. I generally don't even have us as of yet making. I think the second round will be our ceiling again. I don't think Steph will get bounced out in the first. I don't think he lets that happen. It's so hard to like pinpoint or just try to make standards from now on. But I have to say, as of now, same ceiling, and that's even depending on who we face when the playoffs come. But that's so far away. I don't even want to get to that conversation. Dorian Finney-Smith was sent to the Rockets. He was in the Lakers. Who else? What else changed? Yeah, there's a lot of key guys who've been, sent elsewhere. Larry Nance Jr. went from the Hawks. Now he's in the Cavaliers. And yeah, I'm trying to get like other key guys. Brook Lopez is now a Clipper, so they have a lot of guys with experience. Kevin Looney was a Warrior. Now he's a Pelican, which is crazy. Damian Lillard, there we go. I knew I was missing something. Damian Lillard is now a Portland Trailblazer. I'm going to give my thoughts on that. Before I give my thoughts on Dame, though, Karis LeVert is now a Piston. That's nice. I think that him, Cade, all the young guys they have. I don't know who the Hawks received. Can't really name that off the top of my head or how it was. But that's really good. Cornette went from the Celtics to the Spurs, so that's another guy that the Celtics lost. But yeah, Damian Lillard going back to Portland. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I think it's just more so. I think so. He signed 3 years with them, and I think, of course, this upcoming season counts as a year being signed to them, but he doesn't come back this year. So he'll come back and he'll have 2 years that he plays. I think that he plays throughout this contract, and then he may consider retiring. Um, I'm not mad at it because he's going back to where he know he's loved, where he's always where he built himself up, he built his name, where he's made history. So they're gonna receive him, with open arms. Of course, the fans, everybody there. Um, and who knows? I mean, by the time he comes back, they could have a whole total different, they have different squad. But we have to first see how he recovers and how he plays. I hope he comes back healthy with everybody else who's injured. Um, but like I said, we do still have to see because, of course, certain injuries sadly change players. But yeah, I do think he plays throughout this contract, then probably retires. Um, I don't know the future, so he could probably play throughout these 3 years in reality too, and then go elsewhere. But I think that's where I see that being his towards the ending of his career, I guess you could say. Let me see who else. Miles Turner is now a Buck, so the Pacers don't even have Miles Turner anymore. Um, that's definitely different. Giannis is still a Buck, and somebody who I thought would move off the Bucks was Giannis. I guess not. Um, and not even. I mean, I tweeted and I've said if Giannis comes to the Warriors, everybody will go crazy. He's still a Buck, but even if I didn't even think he would stay a Buck because there's certain things that were like said or the way he answered certain things. But I guess you gotta take everything like with a grain of salt. Not really believe everything. I guess. I know. I mean, we all know he wasn't happy about Dame leaving the Bucks. I don't know if that's gonna drive him to leave or if he's kind of over that. But yeah, I thought he would just be going somewhere else. Not even just the Warriors specifically. It's just somewhere else in general. I mean, I remember when the Spurs was like a little something, when the Knicks was something, like around Giannis's name. As of yet, he's still a Buck. Um, yeah. Who else? And yeah, I mean that's Marcus Smart is now a Laker, a good pickup for the Lakers. The Lakers are always definitely, making moves to try to get better. I think that that's a good defensive piece that they could add coming into this year with Luka and LeBron. Dennis Schroeder is now a King, Sacramento King. He was in the Pistons. I think that's a good signing, I guess you could say. D'Angelo Russell is now a Maverick, so he went from the Nets to the Mavs. The Mavs are looking nice, like really really nice. I mean, they have I was about to say Chet. Look at me. They have Cooper Flag. They have Kyrie once he comes back. They have AD, Klay Thompson. They got a squad. They definitely have a squad, and they could definitely do something. Duncan Robinson is now a Piston, and yeah, I mean, I don't really see Chris Paul. I already said he's back with the Clippers. So I think it's like a lot, and of course other like future round picks that were sent from one team to another with these trades that happened. Other role players who were also like sent to other teams. But nothing really really too crazy. I remember about a month ago they were saying like, oh, a 7-team deal trade, something crazy, gassing it up. It was nothing crazy at all. Um, I think that was part of the KD trade. And then like another 6 teams. Of course, one of the other teams was the Suns, who they got back from the Rockets. And the other 5 teams was like first, second round picks, stuff like that. Other role players and stuff. So I mean, it hasn't been like a crazy off season. Nothing really too shocking. Uh, then again, I feel like because we've had off seasons like when like KD went to the Warriors or stuff like that. Or not only that, but just other off seasons where it was like shocking stuff. But now that the whole CBA and the NBA just runs differently, and kind of is made to an NBA where it doesn't allow too much how it used to be. I think it's pretty obvious, I guess you could say. And yeah, it's just a whole different NBA nowadays. So I don't know if this is probably the new type of off seasons we're gonna have, but I know there's always gonna be an off season that comes around and just shocks everybody, even the players themselves. But that's really it for this episode. I mean, I I think last time I talked about basketball was a minute ago, so I just came on and I was like, let me see, let me talk on what's been going on and who's been getting, you know, shipped out and signed and all of that. I'm just really disappointed on the Warriors though, as a Warriors fan. Um, just them not being able to do anything. I'm not gonna entertain the whole Steph is leaving idea. I think he retires a Warrior. I think that's kind of obvious. Um, but yeah, let's see if they do sign Al Horford, what they make happen. We still got Jimmy Butler, Draymond. To see what we make happen. The West is nasty though. Like we're nowhere near. We're not even top 4 teams in the West at the moment. If I really had to be honest, I'd probably put the Nuggets, the Rockets, the Thunder, and who else? Probably the Mavs, the Lakers, probably. I don't know. We have to see, but we're not even up there in conversation. Of course, you know we're so far away from the NBA season, so a lot could happen. Um, and yeah, I'll be back next week. God willing, talking about something else. Make sure you enjoy the summer. Stay safe. Stay prayed up. That's really it for this episode. Make sure you subscribe, you like, you comment, check the description down below. And your boy Salsita is out.